Yeah, I would never want to have to try to track while also trying to talk. So it's nice that we have dedicated trackers willing to take care of that for us. Oh,
And
looks so
you're
good.
off.
Very cool.
What? Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. Oh, okay.
Sorry,
Well, that's a heck of a
Tairr. You're
start.
doing work right away.
Wow. You know what's interesting about that is getting flippers right away means you can't do the early game Houlihan setup if that was his plan.
I've seen a lot of people do that, and I believe I've seen Tairr do that before. So it's interesting that happens. Kind of having to change your routing a little bit there on the fly. We did get a quick map check. Only Crystal 4 up in Tower of Hera, but then a couple of useless pendants there in Eastern and Desert.
Ooh, Tairr did not get a kill, so the first tree pull gave nothing. There's 3 different prizes that you can get from trees. They are randomized in the randomizer, but the way that you achieve them is the same as the original game. There are 2 variables which count how many kills you have and how many times you've taken damage. If you have less than 4 kills, you get 1 prize. If you have 4 or more and have taken damage, you get another prize. If you have 4 or more kills and have not taken damage, you get the 3rd prize. They're pretty much just pulling it randomly and hoping to get bombs, honestly, in the early game, though.
Now, maybe you can help clarify something for me. I've heard that there is programmed a greater chance for bomb drops in South Kakariko right there before the Grove. Is that true? Because I've seen a lot of runners end up heading that way.
From some bushes?
Yeah, from the bushes.
Yeah, bush drops are not randomized by the randomizer itself, but every bush can either have a specific drop assigned to it or no drop. If it has no drop, then it uses a really strange, complex prize pack algorithm to decide what to drop, and there's a very small chance of getting anything, but it does sort of cycle through a list. But if it does have a committed drop to that specific bush, it's always a 50% chance to drop. And there are 2 bushes south of the Haunted Grove that have a 50% chance to drop bombs.
Meanwhile, we see Tairr going ahead and diving into escape while he's here. He has the cane, so he has a weapon to be able to fight his way through. Christos making his way for kind of the more traditional route through the checking the Lumberjack Cave and taking the north route, and he finds the lamp.
Oh, nice.
So no dark rooms needed here.
Yeah, I know Chris is a guy who's pretty well practiced in the dark rooms. Personally, I don't like him that much because I hardly practice at all anymore, and those are the kind of things that you have to kind of keep fresh. But it's still a lot of comfort to have it, even if you are pretty comfortable without it.
Absolutely. I personally hate doing dark rooms, so just seeing that is kind of a weight off my shoulders when I see it.
Yeah, for sure. Chris starting his timer late. That's actually kind of a trademark thing for Chris, forgetting to start the timer.
It's all right. We won't hold it against him too much. We'll probably ask him about it later.
Yeah. I think what he's doing now is going to the south side of town to pick up some bombs from the shop. If he doesn't get any here, he'll do that, and then he'll do Kakariko south to north. That's a really wacky kill on the ball and chain guard there with Canis Maria, but it works.
And we get the trolliest item in the game, the ice rod. What?
Wow. Well, we don't know if that's needed yet. It may be. So good to have.
Yeah, with 2 pendants already in the light world, the likelihood is that it'll be required for Turtle Rock, but don't know quite yet. And Christos being trolled by getting bombs almost immediately.
Yeah, that's the way it goes sometimes. Tairr picked up both of the bushes that have a chance to drop bombs, but did not get one from either one. Oh, wow. Auto merchant with what we call a not sustainable business model.
Absolutely not. He's an investment banker today.
Yeah, but after making the first purchase, Chris already has enough rupees to buy the flippers if he wants to do that early. Or the Zora item, I should say.
And Christos getting the Psych Heart in this chest. Interesting. Despite some early successes, not seeing a whole lot of any extra items, though, for Christos.
Yeah. Hasn't really expended all of his options yet, though. Personally, I like when the early game it does not provide too many items, because when you have limited options, that means that there's a better chance that the decision that you make is going to be correct. When you have a lot of options, the potential difference is much more significant.
And look at that. Tairr picking up the hook shot in the maze. Good play there.
Yeah, unfortunately, the way that Chris is coming to town, how he had to go south and then come back up to the north, and then he's going to have to go back to the south later, is going to be pretty inefficient for him. That's the significance of early game bombs.
Still plenty of time, though. We'll see what kind of route divergence we're going to have at the first time here, though. And both Tairr and Christos checked libraries so fast I did not get a chance to see what it was.
It was some amount of rupees. I didn't see the exact number. I think we might have been 50. Nothing that they're going to have to come back for.
Absolutely not. Tairr. Oh, is Tairr passing the bottle merchant because he doesn't have the money?
Oh, that's too bad. He'll be able to get enough here, even if he doesn't get any rupees from chests. There'll be enough under pots for him to get that before he leaves town.
Yeah, and that 100 will turn to 300 real quick.
Might be worth noting that it is in fact possible to complete the maze in time without the sword or the boots. I know there's kind of a misconception from some very new players that you may need one of those items to be able to do it fast enough, but there is plenty of time anyway.
Christos now starting his South Hyrule route, going to go down and check the dam and see what we have here.
Let's see if he tries to hookshot through the block to the chest. If you do that, you can do all this in one trip instead of having to do twice. It's not quite as easy as using the mirror, but oh, I didn't quite get it.
He tried, though. I mean, it was a valiant attempt. It's not a trick that a lot of people practice because you don't expect the hookshot so early.
Yeah, the weird thing about the hookshot is that it does move you 4 pixels every frame. So if you hookshot from different positions, the interval can be different. So in that case, he was a couple pixels away from the chest when the hookshot stopped moving him, so he wasn't able to open it from there. Might as well be random. It's not really random, but it's so like movement precision based. It's effectively random.
So Christos on his way over to the mini Moldorm Cave. It'll be interesting to see where he goes after that. He does have the flippers, and I know a lot of people opt to do almost a fake flipper setup, but he's got real flippers now.
Oh yeah. Yeah, with the items they have, using fake flippers to go up to the Zora's area, they'd really only be able to check one location, but with the real flippers, they can check 4. So much more lucrative that way.
Ooh, a sword by Christos. That'll be handy and dandy.
Oh yeah. All right. So he's either going to the Ice Rod Cave or he is doing fake flippers. Because otherwise he would have jumped in earlier.
Yep. Looks like the Ice Rod Cave. Not necessarily a bad play, per se.
That's a cute shortcut.
Yeah. Interesting.
This one right here is actually a good one. The second shortcut. The first one, I don't know about that, because the stairs are so long and they slow you down so much, you might not really be saving time. But it's cute, anyway.
Are you saying that what Christos is doing is cute? Is there something I need to know? Is this a biased conversation we're having here?
I don't know if you've ever met Chris. You know, he's a handsome guy.
He is a gorgeous hunk of a man, I'll say that much. Anyway, moving on.
All right, yeah, he went ahead and saved and quit to Link's house so he can take a shorter distance to get into the water in Lake Hylia.
Ooh, Quake on the edge. That'll be an interesting play if we end up needing it. Don't know if we're going to see someone dive in there early to get it just in case, or if we need it for Misery Mire or Turtle Rock, they'll have to reroute themselves eventually for it.
Yeah, it's good intel to have. There's a chance that you'll be able to get the intel on Turtle Rock or Misery Mire before you're even able to get that if the mirror happens to come very late. But I'd probably get it before going to those dungeons, just in case.
And Christos gets the Moon Pearl from Hobo, so the logic does require him to check here, and Tairr's heading right that direction as well. He's skipping the Ice Rod Cave, so making up a little bit of time here.
Yeah. He'll have to keep the Ice Rod Cave in the back of his mind, though. All right.
Yep, it's one of those. Yep.
2 chests in the Waterfall of Wishing are the 2 most recent item locations added to the game.
And we got Powder, one of the most important safety items. Not that Christos necessarily needs it, but we at least need it for Batcave if you don't, glitch it.
Another fetch quest on the Zora Ledge.
Which one was it? I did miss that.
It was the shovel.
Fetch quests are us on this early game. That's interesting.
Oh, Tairr's actually going to go to the Ice Rod Cave right now.
So we have Moon Pearl, we have Flippers. We still don't have Dark World access, though, unfortunately. He's waiting for a glove upgrade of some sort with a hammer.
Either of those will do it. A sword upgrade or a cape would mean they could go through Agahnim's tower to get to the Dark World. So that would be a less desirable option, probably, for these players.
Christos immediately going to turn in this shovel to see what he gets. Following the logic right now, I like the play. Not many other places you can go unless you're heading over to Eastern, which might also be profitable.
Yeah, there's a few other places he could go, but he couldn't really complete any other location. So I would do the one thing that you can sort of knock out of the way before doing any of the partial clears. Not a great reward there. He still does have the front half of the escape to do. Looks like that's where he's going now. Meanwhile, Tairr's cleaning up the Zora's domain, where he will find a shovel and nothing else too important.
Nope, not at all. Just a horrible, horrible life lesson from Zora.
He's trying to swim as much as he can to save time in Zora's domain. It is faster to swim than walking at distances over a certain minimum because of the acceleration time of swimming. But it also lets you go a shorter total distance, which is where the big time save is. Haven't put this in.
I imagine Christos is going to set up maybe a death warp here before he kills Final Dude.
Yeah, he may do that, so we can go into the dark rooms right away. In fact, if there's a key in the first half, he'll be able to go all the way to the back half. And in open mode, you actually rarely see people going all the way through escape from the front to the back, because usually you want to go into the back to the secret entrance in the graveyard.
And the logic actually dictates that anything that's in that back actually has to have the glove anyway. Isn't that correct?
The glove as a requirement for those chests was the case, but I don't believe it is anymore because the unless there's a key back there. Actually, wait. Yeah. If there's a key back there, then you do need the glove for it. But the mantle is movable, at all times. It's never going to be permanently closed. So,
Tairr joking with us a little bit here, doing getting around the one spot for digging, knowing, I don't know if he knew that nothing would be there or not, but nothing was there regardless.
all right. Somehow they've basically synced up now. They've pretty much done all of the exact same things.
Yeah, Tairr only about 10 seconds behind Christos at this point in time, despite.
Yeah.
Okay.
If it's a key, it'll open up 3 more chests here. Well, technically the glove also does, just in a different way.
Well, that's one way to get access to that.
Yeah, and I imagine we'll see Chris do that immediately. And then probably up to Death Mountain. The glove and the lamp means the logic actually allows you to. Without the lamp, they'd probably still be able to do that anyway. And with a hookshot, of course, they can explore a reasonable amount of it right away.
Yep, well, they'll be able to do all of the Paradox Cave, named because just how the cave is set up, it feels weird, like it shouldn't be set up that way.
Yeah, there's actually kind of a surprising attention to detail in some of the architecture in this game. Like in Agahnim's tower, the windows are always on like the outside of the rooms relative to like the whole map. And rooms that have windows are bright and rooms that don't have windows are dark. And like there's some really surprising attention to detail. And then you have this one cave that's like fully upside down.
We let the intern design that one, and we see what happens.
Yeah. Chris was clinking his sword on a bush for a while. Kind of funny how that happens sometimes.
So yeah, they're effectively following the same route. They're, well, I don't know. Where's Tairr going?
Oh, we got a couple short hooks there. Those guards have a detection. In order to detect Link, they actually shoot out dozens of an invisible sprite, and if it overlaps Link, that's how they know they see you. But for some reason, the sprite collides with projectiles. So yeah, a hookshot or a boomerang will get blocked by it. Can lead to some very sticky situations.
Tairr taking the risk going to check Sick Kid before heading up Death Mountain, and it does not pay off for him. Only gets an extra heart piece.
Yeah, that's too bad.
Although Christos, we'll see what Christos ends up finding as he makes his way up here to the Spectacle Rock area. No mirror, so he won't be able to check the very top and get to Tower of Hera quite yet.
Nothing too good on top of the rock. I didn't see what was inside of it, though.
I had no idea. Didn't even check.
Oh, apparently it's nothing important.
I will trust Christos in his ability to see one pixel and make that determination exactly what it is.
This cave has 2 different entrances, but you have to use this entrance if you don't have the mirror. You can use the mirror to erase the block if you use the other entrance first. But this is also a safer entrance to use. We have low hearts coming up here without a lot of options to fight off those Tektites. It's nice that you're kind of forced to do the safe thing. Sometimes you want to do the fast thing instead of the safe thing, but when the safe thing is the only option, that's a nice forced decision.
Uh-oh, we have a cape. You know what that means.
Oh man, Means Agahnim is a possibility now.
It is definitely a possibility with Cape, only the Power Glove, one sword. Yeah, I think that's the play.
Well, some players like to go for it earlier than some like to expend absolutely every other option in the light world before doing it. Hospitala's house, part of Eastern Palace, and Agahna's cave remaining.
Still a few options, yeah, but it's pointing in that direction right now. We'll see what happens. Chat, get the hype for Aga if you want to see it.
There's still a few other items that could open up a few locations other than ones that would open up Dark World. Getting the Mire, for example, could at least let them get to Hera. And of course, boots opens up a couple things. Well, I guess one thing at this point. One thing that they actually want to check. The bulk rocks.
Shout out to Mantis Factory, just subscribed. Thank you so much, sir.
Looks like it will be Eastern, or at least the Eastern area for Chris.
It's the highest density of items, so if you're gonna make the math play, it's a smart play to make, all things considered.
Yeah, in Eastern Palace, it was a pendant, right?
Yeah, both Eastern and Desert were the blue and red pendants, so they're effectively worthless. Although I don't know if Christos knows that. I haven't seen a map check from him yet.
Okay. Yeah, I'm thinking if it's a pendant, you're probably not going to have to complete it anyway. And since he can get all the chests in the dungeon but not complete it, it might be worthwhile to just clear it out and hope that you never have to come back. If it's a crystal, you know you're going to have to come back if you can't finish it now, so it's like more likely to be 2 trips. But as a pendant, it's a little more desirable to do if you can't full clear it. At least that's kind of how I look at it.
Looks like Tairr is following in his footsteps. This is kind of interesting to see them absolutely walk over each other's footsteps here, where there's no route variance whatsoever.
Yeah, there were a few differences at the beginning that ended up converging. And I think the only other difference was Tairr going to check Sick Kid.
Yeah, that pretty well explains the only separation between the two is Tairr going to check Sick Kid. He was only maybe a room behind prior to that.
Yeah.
Only rupees, so that's one item for Christos.
Yeah, there's going to be 3 items in Eastern Palace.
I'm counting down. I want the Aga hype at this point in time. I want to see a little bit of suffering from these two. I'm just so jealous of their skills.
Nice invisible Stalfos room for Chris.
Very nice. That's about as perfect as you can get there. Ooh, and the mirror. So we'll have some additional options here as soon as we get going and out of here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, in fact, with a fire source, the Tower of Hera is definitely completable. So going up there is not a bad option.
might be the next play if they end up going. Christos still has one more chest to check, while Tairr is just a few rooms behind him, maybe a minute or so.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the only thing here that would change their mind there would be the hammer. That would just throw everything into the mix. Okay, so Armos is holding on to something. Can't check it just yet. Hopefully they won't have to come back for it. At least they're hoping they won't. I'm sure we have some people in the chat here who are hoping they'll have to come back.
In the meantime, Christos is going to go ahead and do what you called and head up Death Mountain for his Tower of Hera. Now, Hera is a crystal dungeon, so they'll go ahead and finish it off at this point.
Yeah, definitely.
So while we're discussing Aga hype, let's diverge a little bit. Let's talk about what pedestal hype, what could possibly be on the pedestal at this point in time, now that we have our map check and see Pod is our final crystal or pendant dungeon.
Well, any medallion could probably be there. I think Chris, accidentally walked back into that warp. I don't know why he went for that heart piece.
So with Pod, we know that between Pod and Eastern, we know the bow, they already have the lamp. Hammer is definitely not going to be on that. Depending on the logic of to get into desert, we know it can't be it's either not the flute or not the book, but it could be either of those two.
Right. Oh, Chris does have to go downstairs here. The big key is not in one of the first two locations in the Tower of Hera. You do have to wait through this, what we sometimes refer to as an auto-scroller, basically in speedrunning that refers to anything that you have to wait, that you can't really speed up by any means. You just have to accept it. The term comes, of course, from platformer games, where there are stages where the camera scrolls automatically, so how fast you move doesn't matter.
I've heard a lot of runners call it the bathroom break room, because if you can get the glitch just right, reusing invincible frames, you can kind of get up and refill your water or other beverage you may be drinking.
Yeah. Yeah, with the items that he has, he could have done that, but it would have taken an extra menu, and since it doesn't really save time to do it, it's not really I mean, it gives you a lot of comfort, and it loses like 1 second to menu in extra time, so that's what Tairr chose to do, because now he can just kind of stand there and he can stretch his legs or do whatever he wants right now. Ooh, Chris almost fell down there. I'm going to blame that on the emulator.
Well, he'll blame the emulator, sure.
Oh, yeah.
The rest of us, yeah.
Ooh, looks like Tairr might have walked a little too far away from his game. He was probably running back to his computer there.
Took a little bit of time. Christos finding one of the items in the green goo, so we've already got 3 bottles in less than half an hour here.
Yeah, real nice. I think Chris hit that beetle to try to boost himself. He really likes doing stuff like that. Like he'll walk into bumpers to get them to bounce him in the direction he wants to go, or slashing a beetle to knock him back. Those things don't really save time, like ever, but they're still pretty funny to see. Moldorm has a reputation of being one of the trolliest bosses. His behavior is almost completely random. He does, I think 5 or so random movements, and then he'll do 1 movement towards the player. So he always kind of stays kind of near you on average.
Christos getting the map from Trolldorm, so the big chest does have the last item, and I think we're going to see Tairr check it. So Tairr is going to have a little bit of an advantage here. Or not? Was the other item actually in the basement?
Oh no, it was must have been in the first room. Wait, yeah, it must have been, right?
Yeah, it had to have been. It just apparently wasn't hype enough for us to notice it. That's all. We just saw a green rupee counter of some sort and probably passed it up.
Right. Yeah, it was just rupees. All right, Chris had a pretty good hold-on fight. Let's see if Tairr's able to have a smooth one as well. He already has the cape equipped, just in case. He may choose to use it on the last hit, since that's the toughest one to get. Yeah, for sure.
Christos routing in Sick Kid will also be disappointed. So about all they have left is Agahnim's Cave, and if it's not there, we're going to Aga.
Yeah. I feel like I've seen the hammer at Agahnim a few times. And that would be the best item for them to find now, so let's see if it happens this time.
Fanciful Unicorn asked, who'd Christos lose to in checking his matches? He lost just last week to the amazing Ampharos, and it was a pretty tight race, as I recall. So certainly both of these runners, even though their ratings are 3-1 and 4-0, they're both very, very, very good runners.
Yeah. All right, Chris is going to check the ledge item here. He won't actually be able to get to it, but he's just getting the intel. Oh, another. So they've seen 2 medallions that they can't get to. It's kind of
that looked like ether?
Yeah. All right, here's our last chance to skip Agahnim.
Drum roll, get hype chat. Oh, and it's just $20.
Well,
we're going to Agahnim.
Yeah, and after they complete Agahnim, they're actually going to have access to a lot of the Dark World. Since they do have the hookshot, they'll be able to go across the river from east to west and make it to the Village of the Outcast that way.
Yep, it's just getting that first Dark World access is killing him right now. So running all around. This does makes for some interesting other things that happen in the game. Can you help fill me in on what else in the game changes once you defeat Agahnim?
Yeah, the sprite data on the overworld, actually there's multiple sets of sprite data that changes as the game phase changes. There's like in open mode, it starts in phase 2. Normally phase 0 and 1 are during escape, when you'd only have access to a very small amount of the overworld. But in phase 3, after you've killed Agahnim, a lot of the enemies on the overworld change. There's a lot more strong enemies in a lot of places. Most notably, I think the Eastern Palace screen becomes a very difficult screen after Agahnim. But as far as like randomizer specific, noteworthy things, a single item location actually opens up after you've killed Agahnim, and that's the lumberjack tree. Since the tree canopy itself is a sprite, so when the sprite data changes, it just loads a sprite there that becomes a sprite that can become an entrance when dashed against. It's also going to give him a single new warp to the Dark World from the Light World at the gate in front of Hyrule Castle. And that's about it.
Yeah, the enemies aren't necessarily a big deal for runners of this caliber, but for a lot of people, it can really harangue them up, because all of a sudden enemies that would normally take just a simple swipe with your normal sword will harangue you a little bit longer than usual.
Yeah, it's also noteworthy since they don't have boots. There's these red spear soldiers that are very fast, and for some reason, enemy code, the movement speed that they gain on a diagonal relative to a cardinal movement is significantly higher than the player speed. So you can outrun them when moving cardinally, but if you're moving diagonally, they're actually faster than you, and they'll catch up with you. So without the boost, they're going to have to not get in a foot race with those guys.
And these two are just high-fiving as they're going through here. This is just an amazing race right now, as we expected.
Of course, I was trying to do a trick there to pick up that key with the hookshot. Since the hookshot doesn't go through the rail, you have to wait until the key is right at the top of its animation. Just be able to collect it that way. Of course, they had the boomerang, so that wasn't necessary. That's terrible.
That requires an extra screen change.
That's true. Right, Agahnim is the easiest boss in the game. The outcome of the fight is completely outside of your control. The thing that you have to execute is very, very simple. All you got to do is reflect his attacks back at him. They'll use a spin attack, because that way the odds of reflecting it back in the first frame that it's actually reflectable is very high. Other than that, it's purely random, whether it gives you an attack that you can reflect or not. It is seeded though, so they'll get the same luck, so we don't have to worry about one player losing for 50 seconds just from RNG compared to the other.
Christos getting a little bit upset with all the blue balls that he's seeing, unfortunately. Yeah, those are going to be the same, so we'll see if Tairr reacts similarly to this. Christos definitely not happy with this.
The fight uses a pattern where some of the shots are guaranteed to be reflectable, and as such, it's kind of a strange algorithm for how the likelihood of each result. Like 7, for example, is actually more likely than 6. Kind of weird things like that. And 14 and 15 have the exact same odds.
Christos defeating Agahnim and moving on to Pyramid. You're going to see what's on top of the pyramid here.
Ooh.
Just a single arrow. However, as Super Scudge noted earlier, this does open up Dark World access for them, so we'll be able to see, all of Thieves Town. Looks like we'll be able to check going up here to Catfish. So there's a lot of different things that this opens up. It's just the Dark World access they really needed at this point.
Yeah, we may see them approach the first Dark World access differently. Tairr taking the single arrow. For the memes.
For the memes. The meme of the validation arrow. Tairr has validated his run.
Yeah, for the fans, really.
It's for you, chat. He did it for you. And Master Sword. Okay.
Oh, nice. Well, now Ganon is technically defeatable.
I mean, technically. I don't know if anyone really wants to see Master Sword Ganon.
Oh, there's people who want to see it. Chris is actually pretty good at it. He likes to do low % challenges and minimalist things like that. He thinks it's fun for some reason. I don't know.
Wasn't it Chris and Ben who agreed somehow behind the scenes to do a silverless Ganon run if they possibly could?
Yeah. Before the
race.
race, they had a couple gentlemen's agreements, like to skip the silver arrows if it was in a place where they could skip it, and it was. So it's a little surprising to see the first person skip it, but then when the second one did, we kind of knew what was going on.
Christos checking the graveyard ledge, while Tairr also going up and checking Catfish. That's an interesting play. Catfish is typically a low percentage play, so I'm interested to see that they both made that call.
Yeah, I think Catfish has okay odds of having an important item. I mean, there's not really going to be a better chance for them to do it unless they get boots, at some point. So we might as well.
I guess that makes sense. They've already done up to everything in Light World over there, so might as well head down. Tairr opting to skip Graveyard Ledge, so that'll be an interesting play. He'll eventually have to come back, maybe hoping to route that in together later.
Yeah, maybe after he gets the boots, he can do a few other things up there. But that does make the lead here seem to change. Now it looks like Tairr's a couple screens ahead.
I don't like to call it a lead until it's for sure a lead. I like to say advantage. Tairr right now has advantage because he's just like a few frames ahead. But really, it's not a lead until you're at least a couple crystals ahead and you've made some risks and whatnot.
Yeah, there's no leads. Not until every important item has been found can you really decide that somebody's in the lead for sure.
Go mode is like the only lead that exists.
2 dungeon items in the first 2 chests here, which means they are going to have to go through the trap room. Trap room is guaranteed to be a small key. If they got a small key in either of these other 2 chests, they would be able to skip that, however. I was hoping we'd see someone try to hookshot through that spike. It's a little shortcut. It's not as hard as you'd think. The weird thing about spikes is you can overlap them if you move straight into them by a couple pixels. So if you push up against the blocks, they'll automatically align you as long as you just tap the button quickly enough. And then you'll be able to hookshot through them. They sort of align you automatically. Looks like Chris kind of tried to do it, but didn't
try to do it.
The overworld in Skullwoods is a little bit scary when you're low on hearts, because the death on the overworld can be a huge time loss. It takes you all the way back to the pyramid.
Absolutely. They're able to move through that particularly dangerous area pretty quick, simply because they have the Cane of Samaria and got that so early. But the meme is dead at this point. Skullwoods not really given much of anything at this point in the version 26 logic.
Now, this was actually a play that Chris liked to do, even in the older versions of the game. He really liked just checking the first few locations in Skullwoods as like an extension of the North Hyrule standard stuff. Just a quick tip here, this 3x3 square bushes here, the top left one has a 1 in 8 chance to drop a fairy and a 1 in 8 chance to drop a heart. So I always like to slash that one when I walk by if I'm missing any hearts.
I will write that down in my notes for my own runs. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, there's a lot of those around the place, around the world. I don't know all of them, but I do know a few helpful ones. Also, if you powder any bush, the same thing applies. I guess that's worth noting too.
So the 2 runners are still just following each other step for step. The only real difference at this point in time is that Tairr did skip the Graveyard Ledge at this point in time, which gave him just, I'm not going to say a lead, but certainly advantage. He's ahead step for step if we're running a race around a track, but this is anything but a track.
Yeah. See if the other one wants to go into Thieves Town without the hammer. I like to do it, personally.
Vitorp calling you out in chat. Sounds like they're getting ready to randomize everything in bushes, so good luck there.
Oh, yeah. Well, we'll see about that.
Shout out to Vitorp, by the way, in chat, representing. If you guys ever have any complaints about how the logic works, talk to Vitorp. It's all him. No one else is at all responsible for this. It is clearly all Vitorp. Blame him.
Yeah. Yeah, so they actually did go separate. There's separate ways here. Chris is going to continue checking overworld locations while Tairr completes this dungeon.
Interesting route divergence. We do know that Thieves Town is a crystal dungeon, so Christos, following the south route, makes an interesting call here.
That is a great place to find the flute, because you can walk outside and mirror and activate it immediately.
And he gets bombos.
Nice. The last medallion.
And Christos finding the boots in South of Grove Ledge. That'll be interesting. He'll be able to kind of dash his way for a little bit more of a lead with the more straightaways he has.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So route divergence, getting Tairr the flute and Christos the boots. Not necessarily going to say we're still not at a lead at any point because they're both, I mean, very neck and neck. They're both going to have to travel over each other's footsteps eventually. Just different routing decisions. While Christos heads over to our very first hype cave check.
Yeah. This cave has 5 chances to have a useful item. Sometimes it has 0. Sometimes it has 5.
Bloomerang, the best boomerang, so I'm told.
Ooh, and Titan Mitts in Thieves Town. A sword in the hype cave, though. I think the flute and the Titan Mitts is a great combination to find, though, because that actually does open up some more locations.
Absolutely, that's advantage Tairr at this point in time. As soon as Christos can, he needs to be diving into Thieves Town.
Yeah. Yeah, since we're not able to get into desert, since they haven't found the book, that's going to open up Desert Palace as well as all the Misery Mire locations. I think Chris got confused there for a second. Or at least had a little indecision.
Yep, Chris decided he's going to go ahead and pick up this medallion just in case it ends up being required. He hasn't been able to check anything, but this is kind of a safety at this point in time.
Yeah. Also, with the flippers, he'll be able to swim up here to bypass the Hammer Pig Bridge. And, maybe check out Palace of Darkness?
Now he's bypassing that. I wonder where he's going.
Is he just going a full loop all the way back around to check the bonk locations like King's Tomb? And then maybe we'll go back to town and do Thieves Town. It's just going to make a huge loop here.
I hate to say it, but it feels like a little bit of a time waster for Christos to have to do this full loop.
Yeah, maybe. But there really is no better way for him to get back into the Dark World to do these. He'd have to start at the pyramid.
Well, if he had dove into Thieves Town, then he would have been able to save a little bit more time.
Yeah.
Because he'd have the mitts, but he doesn't know that, so he's making the journey, not finding anything in King's Tomb.
Yeah, too bad. Tairr looked like he had a really fun blind fight there, using the combination of the sword beams and the Candace Samaria. Candace Samaria, honestly, for all the bosses that it kills, is, in my opinion, the most fun way to kill bosses. If you have hearts and magic, then you might as well just do it for fun. It's very difficult, though, in some boss fights, like Mothula. That can actually be very frustrating. But if you're looking for a fun challenge, it's worth trying.
Interesting. Well, I guess it's not so interesting, because Tairr is 4-0. He's already got his spot in the next tournament section, so I guess I'm a little bit surprised to see him pull out those quote-unquote fun strats.
Well,
especially
against an opponent like
it can
actually be a safe way to fight it if you're not comfortable doing the quick kill. Yeah, here comes Chris back to town now.
Tairr going to bring Jeremiah back to home. I like to call the frog Jeremiah because Jeremiah was a bullfrog. He was a good friend of mine.
Yeah, if you were a fan of pop music in the 70s, you know that reference.
Oh, come on. I'm not that old.
No, that's actually a very famous song, I think.
I
I know.
I think so. Blacksmith's only having a bomb upgrade there, so Tairr ducking out and going to be checking Gary's lunchbox.
Yeah. Without the hammer, he's not going to be able to get back to that warp, so he's going to have to continue in the light world from here. So he won't be able to check all the dark world locations along the way to drop this off, like Chris has already done. Although there's only boots to be found there, really.
No, but the more items you can check in kind of the same sequence, if he has to make a double back at any point in time, he won't be able to do it quite as efficiently as Christos. So I like the routing decision either way.
And Chris getting a good pixel in the Thieves Town Hellway, but unfortunately got bad RNG, so couldn't capitalize on it.
And Tairr does opt to flute away instead of walking Gary's lunchbox around, so he won't check the boots. Instead, is going to opt to do the Misery Mire route, which could make a difference later for Christos.
Yeah, for sure. All right, we'll see what medallion is required for Misery Mire. Ooh, that's the one on the island that he has not gotten yet, but Chris went ahead and picked up already.
That'll be important. And Tairr finds the last sword, so we almost know for a fact that Christos is going to follow around. So Christos is going to end up with Butter Sword before he has too many boss kills under his belt.
Yeah, actually, Misery Mire is a crystal, and they have the Canis Maria and a fire source already, so they can full clear that dungeon. Tairr's going to have to make 2 trips here, but Chris is only going to have to make a single one. First time he comes here, he'll be able to finish it.
Has Christos already counted the items and knows he's done here?
Did he skip the chest?
He did skip the chest. It might have been the key to get to the big chest, which he doesn't have the hammer for yet.
Yeah, well, it must be, because he doesn't have a key now. Yeah, he must have already got 3. Yeah, there was it was really stacked early. That's where all the stuff was they found. Okay, Chris successfully counting to 4, and neither of us could.
That's why I'm tracking and not running a race, because I can't count to 4.
Yeah. We're about to find out if boots are going to be useful.
And yeah, boots are going to be required because Big Key was on there.
Yeah, but desert is not necessarily going to be a dungeon they have to finish.
This is true because it's just a pendant, but he has the key.
Well,
drum roll as Christos gets his swag duck. Hashtag swag duck anthem. Hashtag take a knee.
Alright, so what's going to happen here? Tairr is not happy with the state of Desert Palace.
No, and that could make the difference here for Christos if he ends up going and is able to clear that out. But he won't be able to double dip Mire or single dip Mire if he goes into that area.
Yeah, and I imagine we will see that from Chris pretty soon. There's some lucrative overworld locations, which have opened up now that they have the Titan bits, like Dark World, Death Mountain. But in this version of the logic, doing dungeons earlier is usually the right choice. So I think he may opt to take care of Mire and Desert.
Looks like Tairr is now going to be doing this South Hyrule route, starting with the digging game. ChristosOwen also following kind of a similar logic. So we're getting close to an hour here. 2 dungeons completed for both of these runners, and still missing a few key items. We're missing the bow, we're missing fire rod, and we're missing the hammer, which is kind of important at this point in time.
Yeah, since Palace of Darkness and Eastern were both pendants, there's actually a possibility that the bow won't. They won't need to get it to collect any crystals. They'll need it to finish Ganon's Tower, but it could be in Ganon's Tower.
The Swamp Palace requires the hammer to get through, so hammer absolutely has to be in there.
The bow.
Oh, yes, absolutely. My fault, sorry.
Yeah, hammer is required for a few more things. Yeah, I've had the bow in Ganon's Tower before. It's one of those fun gambles that you make. Do I check the rest of the world first, or do I just go straight to Ganon's Tower and hope that it's there? Kind of like when you don't have the Cane of Samaria. You go to Ganon's Tower anyway.
So Tairr picking up his boots. Christos now in Misery Mire going to pick up his butter sword. So we're going to have a pre-1 hour butter sword, and Tairr's going to be right on his heels if he checks Hype Cave here directly.
Yeah, that's where he's headed.
So Christos getting all 3 medallions will not worry even 1 iota about what's on Turtle Rock because he knows he has it.
Yeah, that's definitely a lot of comfort.
So as we see these 2 runners crisscross each other, Super Scudge, what's your mentality? If you were these runners, not knowing what the other one does, would you feel you're ahead or behind at this point in time in each of these races as we're approaching the 1 hour mark?
When I'm playing, I always feel like some mistake I've made has put me behind. I never feel good about the position I'm in. Chris, that big loot that he did, that pretty much rewarded him with very, very little. That alone might have been enough for him to feel like he's been wasting too much time. I don't know. I mean, Tairr might be thinking about like the graveyard ledge that he accidentally forgot to do. You know, that might be in the back of his head, and he's wondering if he forgot something important there. You know, those kind of things. If you're I don't know, not a very confident player like me, you're always worrying that the mistakes you made were too much.
So meanwhile, we see Tairr going to Mire, and looks like the last item is for Desert is going to be on Landmula, so Christos is going to also be just a few frames behind Tairr going into Mire.
Yeah, let's see if there's much of a difference in their execution in this dungeon to see if Tairr can either pull ahead a few rooms or if Chris can close the gap here, the illusionary gap, I should say. Oh, nice use of the cane. Can't normally use that in this room in a normal run because you got to get the cane later in the same dungeon.
Brilliant play by Christos there. Yeah. To answer Gaikotsu's question, as he asked in chat, both are guaranteed to go on into the tournament. Not absolutely. Tairr is guaranteed at 4-0, but at 3-1, Christos, while expected to move on, if you fall into that 3-3 bracket, you end up having to be in a playoff. So Christos does need one more win to guarantee his spot in.
Yeah, and the reason that players with a different record are playing is just because that's going to happen a couple times per round, because there's like an odd number of racers with each record. In order to guarantee that would never happen, you'd have to have like a base 2 number with an order of magnitude equal to the amount of rounds in the stage, or a multiple of that number. That never happened, and you'd have to have no runners ever drop out during the competition. So even if you did all the math stuff right, there's still be a possibility it wouldn't work out.
Seeing absolutely no route divergence here, and it's just so close between these two.
Same room. Nice.
Holding hands as they're going through Misery Mire.
Oh man, they're gonna have to do this this block puzzle the intended way, because they don't have the fire rod.
That's a little rough there. And bathroom breaks for everyone.
Yep, I think this is like a 20-second thing. Actually, I don't think it's that long. There actually was a case where a very skilled and experienced player named Jaden from back in the day did take a bathroom break during that cutscene, and when he got back, the Wizrose had killed him. So that was a mistake. Not actually a good place to use a bathroom break, but that's why some speedrunners joke about that.
Yeah, they are just so close. They're in the same room most of the time. I joked about just a few frames behind, and they're legitimately just a few frames behind at this point.
Yeah, but they did route the dungeon a little bit differently. Chris has to get this chest now, but I believe Tairr already has.
Still, nothing of value found at this point in time. I'm waiting for the value.
Yeah.
And I think that's both the items, isn't it?
Which was the first?
Had 20 rupees.
Okay. I guess so then. I still got to finish up the dungeon though.
Yeah, while you're here, you absolutely don't want to double dip, but my goodness, just a whole lot of nothing. Get your 4th bottle. How disappointing.
Yeah.
If I had to predict, I guess we're going to see some dash strats here with the butter sword with both of them and the cape.
We may see that. With a lot of hearts, Chris might do the damage boost, the normal speedrunner strat. So I think you're more likely to be able to get 0 lightning doing it that way. Though with the gold sword, you can do a ton of damage with the dashes. But I do know that sometimes safer strats are not instinctive for experienced speedrunners. Doing things with the cape or the cane of burnout are just things that don't cross your mind.
Yeah, we see Tairr switching to the cape, so my call's right there.
Yeah, he'll definitely do that. And he'll get 1 lightning, it looks like. Yeah, Chris is going to go for the spins. See if we can get a 0 lightning. Oh, he's low in hearts, yeah, so he'll just play it safe at the end. Oh, it takes 3 hits per eyeball with the gold sword with a slash or a dash. It'll be 8 spins or 16 slashes to kill the big eyeball with the gold. Oh wait, no. Wait, is that right? Is that 8 or 16 slashes? I wasn't counting. I think it's 8 slashes. Oh, you're right, 8 slashes with the gold sword because spins don't do more damage. With a tempered sword, it's 8 spins or 16 slashes. Obviously, right?
I just nod and smile whenever you're talking math. Honestly, I can't keep up.
Yeah, Vitreous is funny in that arrows are like specifically stronger versus him relative to other weapons compared to like any other enemy. His HP is just ridiculously high, 128.
Yep. Meantime, we have Tairr checking to see if he can get this last item here. Gonna be a little bit disappointed. Christos going to be on his way to Land Molus to see if there's anything from the boss.
I think the restreamer just accidentally made a prediction. I don't know if you saw that.
I missed it completely.
Okay. He accidentally turned on the winner thing there. Of course, we don't know who's going to win this. Okay, now they're both winners.
They're both winners. And both of these runners are winners in everyone's books. If you haven't already, ChristosOwen and Tairr, give them a follow on Twitch or a like on Facebook, not Facebook or YouTube or whatever your social media of choice is. Both of these runners deserve it.
Alright, they're gonna fight Lamola's. The gold sword only takes 2 hits to kill him. If it's a slash or a spin, doesn't matter. If it's a poke, however, it'll do half damage. It'll take 4 hits like that. Ice Rod does the same damage as the gold sword, so it'll take 2 hits with that. We're gonna see Chris use a combination of the two. Early 2 cycle. Not so bad.
Not so bad at all. And rewarded with the blue pendant. Nothing there.
Yeah, Tairr's gonna try to use sword only. Unfortunately, I think one of those hits the sword beam hit instead of the sword, and that does a lot less damage. That's really one of the unfortunate things about the sword beam. A lot of runners really dislike having sword beams when they have a strong sword, because if an enemy takes damage from that instead, it can mess up a fight pretty bad.
Yep, we see Christos now making his way up to Dark Death Mountain, it looks like, going to make the play there. Interesting. So, not many other places. Tairr, meanwhile, is going a different way. This might be our first true route divergence here. They've followed each other's footsteps up until this point in time, but always been kind of in the same vicinity as each other. Now, Tairr going to check this Northern Hyrule route, Graveyard Ledge in particular, which he did skip earlier. Things like Graveyard Ledge, Bonk Rocks, where he hasn't found anything, or nothing was found by Christos earlier.
Yeah, and since there wasn't anything really good at the ledge earlier, there's no real loss for doing all this together now.
We'll see if Hookshot Cave has anything.
Christo. Ooh.
Oops.
Looks in the wrong direction. Yeah, he lifted up the pot, so he has to reload the room to even advance. Wow. I hate when that happens. When you do an action in the wrong direction, sometimes like one of my hands will get more tired faster than the other, so like they'll like desynchronize, and when I try to do actions fast, one hand will go faster than the other. It's no good.
Nope. Meanwhile, nothing going on in Hookshot Cave. Christos checking to see. Oh, he's going to go ahead and open up T-Rock.
Yeah.
Oh, no, he's fluting away.
Does not have the hammer, so he's not going to be doing that.
He will be making the Ice Palace play, it looks like, though.
Yeah, with Bombos, he'll be able to actually clear the dungeon. Not a bad choice. It is one of the crystals required to unlock the Pyramid Fairy, or to unlock the Big Bomb, which unlocks the Pyramid Fairy.
And Mire was the other one, so this would be it for the Pyramid Fairy at that point in time.
Yep.
Lord Nightmare says in chat, if both Pod and EP are pendant, what else is the bow used for? Ganon can be killed silverless. Yes, but the logic doesn't necessarily say that as much. So killing Ganon silverless is technically a logic break. Both of these runners can certainly do it,
true.
But...
Yeah, but the bow is also required to actually complete Ganon's tower because there are a couple rooms with red mimics, which can only be defeated with the bow and arrow.
Oh, well, that's true, too. I mean, thanks for bursting my bubble there.
Sorry about your bubble.
It's all right. It's been burst many times before.
All right, Tairr seeing Quake at Turtle Rock. He apparently missed Ether at Desert Ledge, so I guess that's a good thing that he's not going to need it. Nice bomb jump for Chris. Pretty sure that's good. Yeah, really fast setup.
No, absolutely. Just amazing how some of these runners can do it like clockwork, and it takes me 5 minutes to get it set up.
Killing all of those penguins with a single spin with the Tempered Sword or the Gold Sword is... it's not an easy thing to learn. It's like easy to mess up, but also once you know how to do it, it's very consistent for players with high experience.
Yep. And it looks awesome too. Just more importantly, it looks awesome.
There actually is a quick kill there that uses a dash strat if you have the gold sword, but not a lot of people know that one. Yeah, Chris could have gone east there through that door, but he only would have had access to a single chest over there because he doesn't have the hammer. There would have been two other ones he couldn't get to, so he's going to route this a little differently. And save that key.
Makes sense to me. It'd be...
Actually, you know what? He's going to end up going through that door anyway, the other way. So that doesn't really make a lot of sense, does it? Yeah, because this is the room. He's going to have to go through that door because... Yeah, I think he's forgotten about the hammer requirement.
Oops.
Yeah. Yeah, just a little bit of a mistake there from him. Kind of forgetting what to do. Yeah, he doesn't want to waste the key, but you can't go back through the stairs. The door, one of the doors closes behind you, and you cannot open it back up. So yeah, he's probably thinking to himself, what the heck did I just do?
Well, and with a race like this, every second counts because Tairr's right on his tail.
Yeah. Yeah, they won't actually be able to even kill Cold Stare. So what Chris is probably going to do here is go back up the stairs instead of going south and then get the last chest that way. He'll be able to pick up another small key, which won't really do anything for him. But this will be the last chest that he can get here, I believe.
As they work through, I think this is going to be just about the last thing. And a hammer!
Oh, okay. You know, that's kind of nice, but at the same time, it really throws off the routing of this dungeon. Yeah, you can see he's like, okay, how do I get back to those other chests from here? What he's going to want to do is go left here, and then hook shot to the chest, and then go up the stairs, or you can go this way. Either one works. I would have gone the other way. Well, but I don't know which one's faster.
I don't think this is a route that they've necessarily tracked. It's like, okay, if I get the hammer at exactly this point, what's the most efficient route?
Yeah, there's a couple ways to get there. Ice Palace is a really complex dungeon, but this will work. Did Tairr hover? Nice. I love hovers.
Of course, Tairr hovered.
You don't need to do it.
I'm going to channel my Patty saltiness here. Of course he hovered.
I'm gonna say a very bold statement that's gonna blow everybody's mind here. Hovering is not as difficult as people say it is. It's actually pretty easy to learn. Most people are just too scared to try because of its reputation.
That's probably a fair statement. I won't disagree with that. I don't plan on learning it though.
Well, I think what the thing is like it doesn't really correlate with any other skill in A Link to the Past. Like you could be a brand new player or you could be the best player in the world. Learning to hover is completely unique, and it doesn't really like you don't have to have any prerequisite skills to be able to learn how to do it. That's really what it is. But yeah, it took me about 2 or 3 days to be able to do it semi-consistently, and a lot of people learn even faster than that.
It's also one of those tricks that once you do it, everyone kind of expects you to do it and perform it. Cough, Andy, cough.
Yeah, he just does it everywhere for no reason, just for fun. That's why he's kind of known as the most prominent hoverer, just because he pulls it out everywhere.
And I actually saw a race earlier in this tournament with Andy who, for lack of a better term, lost a race because he hovered. He only lost by about 2 minutes, and he spent 2 minutes hovering through Hookshot Cave.
Oh, I love hovering the Hookshot Cave. I found a good item there once when hovering it, one time out of several times trying it. So yeah, usually doesn't pay off, but it's fun, so why not? All right, with that hammer now, looks like Swamp Palace is going to be the play.
Not surprising in the least. Still hoping for that fire rod somewhere. Or not. Yeah, he's going to check bomb.
Yeah, that's not a bad choice. Still looking for a few items. If there's a chance that he can do Swamp Palace in go mode, then definitely will. Of course, for that to be the case, he'd have to get like the fire rod and the bow here. That would be a crazy berry cave. That'd be the craziest I've seen. Trying to get a little fancy with the bomb. Cold Stare, man. That gold sword just dissolves Cold Stare. Yeah, since Aghnim's dead, it's actually a lot quicker to get the bomb to the pyramid than if he's still alive, because you have access to this warp to the pyramid.
You can mirror over and then come right on over.
Ooh. Well. Okay, so the book opens up a couple locations, both way out of the way. Actually, one of them way out of the way. Bombo's tablet's actually pretty close to Swamp Palace, which might be where he goes next anyway.
But he's not.
Oh, is he checking the pedestal?
Oh, he's doing a pet check. Okay.
Oh, wow. For the fans. He's doing it for the fans.
This is for you. Pedestal hype, everyone. And what's it going to be? Get your guesses in.
Oh man, he's taking the strange route. Well, he'll get there eventually. I don't know if anybody can ever remember the correct way to go through the Lost Woods, because it's such a rare thing to do.
Just a little piece of love.
Oh well. Meanwhile, Tairr has gotten back ahead of Chris on the swamp check.
That would really be unfortunate if that is the game changer right there.
Oh man, and Chris, I think he's gonna go straight to the tablet. Wow.
It's a risky play, I think, but it could pay off.
This is also the first time they've had the hammer coming up the mountain, so we could check Spike Cave. I mean, maybe go to Turtle Rock. I don't know. Probably not though.
Yeah, not without Fire Rod. Turtle Rock is what, one dungeon maybe, or one treasure.
It depends on the key layout. It's possible with like really good key lock that you can check most of the dungeon, pretty much the whole thing, except of course the one room behind the Fire Rod puzzle. But yeah, it's possible that you could check only one location as well.
You know, Christos going into the Spike Cave as well.
Yeah. That cape delay makes me nervous.
Always does. Only finding another 20 bucks, so that routing doesn't help Christos out this time around.
No.
So now we'll see him start to head in the direction of Swamp. Meanwhile, Tairr's halfway through the dungeon, not even checking left side right at the moment.
Yeah, not an uncommon route that you see from a lot of players. I'm thinking I'm going to go ahead and make a bold prediction and say that Chris is probably going to check the Bombos tablet before he goes into Swamp. It's not very bold of a prediction, is it, based on what he just did?
No, not particularly, but I mean, stranger things have happened. I can't say I necessarily blame the routing either. Getting that book, it feels like it points you into the direction of something, so you just double check.
Yeah, some people try to really like listen to the seed. They're like seed whisperers, and I think the seed tells them where to go. But you can sometimes take that a little too far.
And this is one of those cases. Christos checked everything that the book required and didn't pay off for him. No pedestal, nothing at the tablets.
Yeah, for sure. So we'll see him enter Swamp a few minutes after Tairr.
Now, just because literacy is overrated in the game does not mean literacy is overrated in the real world, ladies and gentlemen. Still study. Do not take this as an excuse.
Yeah, don't let analogies from A Link to the Past Randomizer dictate how you live your life.
And Tairr with the clean Swamp Palace kill in the meantime.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's only leaving 2 crystals remaining, and the single item that they need for both is going to be the Fire Rod.
Problem is, they've already dove into Eastern Palace, not found the bow to get through there to get any more. Is this going to be kind of a blind pod dip, hoping that either the bow or the Fire Rod is there?
Yeah, I think that's That's going to be the best option after this. I mean, we might see Tairr run through some overworld locations that Chris has already checked. He might go up to the ferry and get the book and go through kind of the same path. And of course, the other possibility is the Turtle Rock. Worst case scenario, maybe at this point, since we know it's not Pedestal at least. We could see Bo in Palace of Darkness to allow them to complete that dungeon to get the green pendant, to get the fire rod from Sahasrahla as well.
That would be a little bit trolly here. Christos is going to opt to go ahead and do left side, it looks like. So he'll have a little bit of time saved back on Tairr from doing that interesting routing decision with the book.
I did not flood the key. Always nice when that does not happen. I actually was one of the first people ever to flood the key in Randomizer, and the reason why the water is resettable is because of that. I made a landmark mistake in the history of Randomizer.
Don't you feel proud? It doesn't yet have your name inscription yet. But...
Yeah. Well, I wasn't the only person to do it. Back then, there was no standardization to routing or any randomizer knowledge or strategy, so a lot of mistakes like that were kind of common. Tairr got hit by a spear right after he found the shield. He's going to get that shield stolen because it didn't protect him. Interestingly, if you do not have a shield, that actually reduces lag in some places because it's one less sprite for the game to draw. It's not worth waiting that long to get it stolen, but if you can get it stolen first try, it is possible that it could save time. But not really.
Meanwhile, Tairr is going to route in the bomb and picking up the wrong bomb.
That's fun to do when you're low on rupees. And then you can't afford the big bomb.
So the question will be, will Tairr, after finding the book, kind of route in those other book locations? And I'm not going to say waste time by any stretch, but check those other locations and allow Christos to catch up.
Yeah, he may do. I think he'd be more likely to check Bombos only and save ether for the next time he intends to go up the mountain for another reason.
I guess the question becomes, do you risk the fire rod or the bow being in one of those overworld locations, or do you go ahead and dive pod to check?
Yeah, it's going to be a tough... one of those trees actually does drop apples, but only before you've killed Agahnim. Those are another thing that changes before and after Agahnim is dead, is what you get from dashing into various items across the overworld.
It does look like Tairr is going to be going down to checking Bombos. Will be disappointed.
Yeah.
Kino's been asked, did anyone check hammer pegs? I don't believe we have that because Hammer was in Ice Palace, which was just the last dungeon. So they've got Hammer kind of late in this seed, all things told.
Yeah, that's kind of a annoying thing to have to go back to do in a seed when the hammer does come late like that.
So now we see Tairr fluting away as ChristosOwen completes, and he full cleared it. He will not have to go back and double dip it like Tairr did. Meanwhile, Tairr looks like going up to check the Ether Tablet and Spike Cave, which Christos already checked. Oh, more disappointment. This will let Christos catch back up and back to advantage Christos.
Yeah, that's kind of the strange thing about how locations that don't actually have anything can give you an advantage or a disadvantage. If Tairr never checked these, he wouldn't suffer at all for it. But if he does check them, then he rebalances the universe. And I think Chris might be checking hammer pigs.
I mean, it's out of the way. It comes down to these guys really checking the overworld locations because of the low chance for Pod. It's worth noting that Pod does only have those 3 chests that logically could have the bow, but that doesn't mean that if he doesn't get it, nothing could be hidden further.
Yeah. All right, Tairr's going to try to get a little health here so he doesn't have to spend as much magic. But even if he had 1 heart, he'd be able to get through there, I think, with the cape alone. Or did he already do Spike Cape? No, he
don't
didn't.
think. Yeah, Tairr didn't do Spike Cave, but I don't think he's done Dark Death Mountain yet.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Totally forgot about that. Yeah, he's got a lot of stuff over here he still needs to do. And be very disappointed by.
It's all right, Tairr. We know you're going to be disappointed. Christos finally going to be making that pod play, though, so we'll see where the value is going to end up being.
Yeah. And Tairr may opt to do Turtle Rock while he's up here.
That would be the play, wouldn't it? Pod versus T-Rock.
That would be it. These are the situations I honestly don't like to be in a race where there's 2 bad places to check and one of them's going to be right and one of them's not. And if you choose the wrong one, you're going to lose a lot of time to your opponent. But that's the nature of Randomizer. Everybody who plays this goes into it knowing that that's what could happen.
And honestly, and this might just be from my perspective, that's what makes Randomizer more fun and more engaging than like a standard NMG run. Because it's randomized, because it all comes down to a little bit of luck, it can change the entire face of the game.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's no real surprises in a regular speedrun. But in a randomizer, there sure can be.
And Christos, unfortunately, just getting the big key.
Well,
so he's going to have to go up to T-Rock. So Tairr, advantage back.
That does mean that Tairr's like in a better place right now. But the fact, oh, and there's the bow. Nice. The Fire Rod could still be in Palace of Darkness or Eastern Palace. In fact, that's the only location you can check there. That's funny. But yeah, because Chris couldn't go very far in Palace of Darkness, he had to leave there sooner, which is going to be better for him. Because while Tairr checks these last few overworld places, Chris is making his way to Turtle Rock. And it's going to be kind of close. I think Tairr's going to be in the lead after all this. But it's not going to be a huge lead.
No, it could come down to, I mean, something as simple as how quickly you can do Agahnim for the second fight. It could come down to your Ganon strats. I mean, it could come down to a left-right side check.
Oh yeah, one of them could check Armos before Palace of Darkness, and the other one might go to Palace of Darkness first, or something like that.
All I know is I'm going to get a little bit hyped for this race because it's going to come down to the wire.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Tairr's flying to 5. There are still a few more, like, strange things that could happen. I mean, we could have, like a green pendant for mushroom for fire rod, or some crazy combination of things like that. Well, or fire rod could be in, like, the second chest in Palace of Darkness.
I mean, that could be crazy. I mean, we've checked, and now Christos is going to have to make the trek back down to Pod and check. That's, oh my goodness.
right. Well, they have everything we well, I mean, we're assuming the fire rod is in this dungeon. But after this, they'll have everything that they need to go. So so the routes basically have lined up now, and the illusionary lead that one player may appear to have when they're in the same dungeon is actually a real lead.
Absolutely. I mean, it's still incredibly close, and less than a minute at this point in time.
Yeah. Yeah, and Chris is a much more experienced runner, so we do expect him to make up time when everything else is equal, and it's just coming down to how they execute. But he does have that that unfamiliar setup, possibly hurting him, his execution a little bit.
And you had mentioned that at the beginning of the race. He's on an emulator and he's used to playing on console. So this, I mean, when it comes down to execution, it could very well make that difference here.
Yeah. I think we've been seeing him bonk a little bit more than usual, but other than that, he hasn't really made any huge mistakes. Did that hook shot in the wrong direction, maybe kicked up dust in front of a chest instead of opening it. Little things like that are the result of unfamiliar input delay.
It's also going to come down to counting the chests as well. I mean, if we've seen Tairr miscount a couple times here, so it'd be interesting to see if he continues that trend.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, if they're able to get all the items here, they may continue to Helmasaur to get the pendant, or they may go check Armos for a guaranteed item. I think if they get most of the chests, like if they were to get all the items somehow very early, it might be worth it to leave, but you know, I'd still finish it either way, I think.
Green Pendant, Sahasrahla, has hurt too many people, so you just got to keep going.
Yeah, I think I would, no matter what. Looks like Tairr's going to do a hammer jump. The hammer jump. It's a double pixel perfect bomb jump on the Y axis specifically. The bomb has to be on a specific Y coordinate, and then you have to place Link on another one, exactly 8 pixels farther north.
And he nails it for a compass.
Yeah, it took us time to set up. Chris decided he would take a swan dive into the abyss. Let's see if he goes for the jump. He will. Different players use different visual cues for this setup. There's a few different ways you can manipulate your player's position in order to move like a single pixel at a time. Most players we see use pause buffers because not only does it allow you to sort of buffer the player movement, but it also gives you, it slows down the in-game time. Since you have that the bridge collapsing, slowing down that timer gives you more time to set up.
Still nothing, and between these two runners, they've checked all the chests, so we'll see if any of them decide to just go ahead, go for Helmasaur. Oh, this is torture for these two, isn't it?
Yeah, it must be. Yeah, both of them got to be wondering if the other one just got a little bit luckier.
Yeah, once you're in this position as a runner, where you're trying to hunt and find something, you just presume you're behind at that point in time. Like, I made a mistake, someone else got lucky, I'm running behind at this point.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, oh, never mind. Sorry, I thought I saw something exciting, but I was way mistaken. Tairr tried to do a bow dash there. bow dash works a little differently from some other item dashes, where you actually fire the projectile after you stop moving from the dash instead of at the beginning, like with the bow dash or a rod dash.
I will say this, it just kind of casually watching the two of these runners go, it appears as though Christos has maintained a lot of his perfection, so to speak, in his menu decisions. And, those are only a second here and a second there, but those seconds add up, particularly when it's this close. So ChristosOwen menuing definitely giving him edge here.
Yeah, menuing is kind of one of those invisible time saves. The significance of it throughout an entire race can be very big. I mean, you can check the time in the credits to see how much of a difference it is. If the runs are similar lengths overall and the menu time is very different, then that's usually a good indicator of skill in that area. Tairr's using bombs to break the mask. A lot of people did this in their first playthrough without even realizing that the hammer would work. A lot of players thought the hammer was obvious because it was the dungeon item from this dungeon. It works though. They do really good damage. Oh.
And there we have it.
Not too surprising there. Oh, and Chris got the lonely turtle. That turtle actually clips through the wall there if he flips upside down onto the pigs in the room north of there. All right. So this is going to be quite close in the end.
Well, Tairr is officially in go mode, so he'll be able to go through. Even though we have Buttersword, up to this point, it's silverless. So we might even check to see if any of these runners check any offhand chests hoping for silvers.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a few chests that they will be checking. I completely forgot that they hadn't done Skull Woods yet. I was really confused for a second there.
So was I, but I mean, this makes sense because you want to only have to climb Death Mountain one more time.
Yeah. They have already partially cleared this dungeon, but it doesn't really matter because with Skull Woods, you can pretty much go straight to the boss. All you need really is one small key before you go into the second section. And there's enough small keys in this dungeon outside of chests anyway, that if you didn't have one, you could get a guaranteed one if you needed one. But they have some already. So they'll be skipping everything and going straight to the boss.
Buttersword, half magic, red mail. Can't think of a better way to go through Mothula, even though he's kind of one of those bosses that some players have trouble with because of his random nature.
Yeah, he's he's one of those bosses where if it goes right, it goes very good, and if it goes wrong, it goes very bad. That's a cute bunny sprite.
Dark fairy. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, some of these spriters got really creative with those things. They got some silly ones. Ooh, this should be a quick fight for Tairr. One more hit. Just gotta get off the spikes.
Yeah, there he is.
Okay.
Christos following right behind, so Tairr is going to make his way up now. ChristosOwen, we'll see how quickly he can go.
Ooh, good RNG there. Walk towards the middle though when you shouldn't have. You want to stay outside. But yeah, that was really good.
Christos made up quite a bit of time there.
Yeah, when you're fighting Moth, because of the way that he doesn't take damage if he's spikes, you always want to kind of, if he's getting close to the outside, you want to really try to get farther outside of him so you can hit him towards the center. He would have got that last hit like a second or two earlier. It wouldn't have made a huge difference if he'd done that.
So yeah, now it's going to be close. Well, I'm going to check to see get like a more official time to see how close these two are.
Ooh, Chris getting squirrel blocked. It's about a 10-second wait for that thing to get out of your way.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate for Christos, especially with how close this has been.
Yeah.
Double squirrel blocked. Oh, Chris.
That one he should have been able to stop. He should have hookshotted it. But of course, he is playing with an atypical amount of delay. Maybe he couldn't react in time.
It's about
there's
42.
one more place where he could get squirrel blocked. Let's see if he goes for the trifecta.
Yeah, even after those squirrels, I think I counted about a 47-second difference between entering that cave that they both did. So imagine, I mean, he just doubled the amount of time that he was behind with 2 squirrels. That's really unfortunate.
Yeah. That one's giving him a hard time. Wow, they are really out to get him, aren't they? Alright, Turtle Rock can be a very scary dungeon. There's a lot of dangerous hazards here, but they're both on maximum armor with a few other safety items. So I don't think we're going to see any deaths or anything.
No, I mean, if we see some interesting tricks, that might help a little bit. For example, this is... Oh, I doubt they'll even check the treasure chest per se here. They're not. Okay.
Well, all they need is the big key and at least one small key going into the last section.
I'm seeing some shout-outs in chat. Tairr bribed the squirrels. We'll see if that ends up making a difference.
I don't know, man. Let me check the rulebook. Oh yeah, it looks like you are allowed to bribe the squirrels in the randomizer tournament. Chris is going to go for another one of his trademark cane dashes. Unfortunately, because of the distance from the wall he was, it didn't bounce off the wall to land in front of the switches. It actually landed directly on the wall.
And Chris had to use one of his safeties in the bottle because he was just getting bodied by these chain jumps.
Yeah. Tairr is not opting to check the big chest for a potential small key there. I think with the situation the way it is now, there is a chance that there's not going to be enough keys for him to finish the dungeon, but it's a very small chance.
I mean, it's a risk. If it ends up not paying off for him, it would be kind of funny in my mind.
Yeah, so there's 4 more chests that he could get a small key in. And only one before this point that could have it instead. And Chris will not be taking the risk.
Oh, this could be a do or die moment here in T-Rock if nothing on the laser bridge has a key.
Well, the odds are definitely in... Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I mean, the odds were in his favor. Gets the key, jumps out. So Tairr expending on the lead, skipping a few other things.
Yeah.
ChristosOwen does check some of the other things. It could... Well, I guess there's not a whole lot other that he can check. I was going to say silvers. I'm hoping for silvers.
Yeah, those could make a difference. I mean, if he checks a few more chests in Ganon's Tower, maybe. It's rare that that's really what it comes down to, but it's not unprecedented.
I think Christos is trying to think that sword slashes moves him faster. Unfortunately, it doesn't.
Nah. It's something to do while you're riding, though. Yeah, he's having a lot of trouble with timing.
That's unfortunate. So Tairr getting his 7th crystal, which means Tairr is on his way to Ganon's Tower. So for those of you who don't know, we like to play a little game once we're at this point in the run. It's guess what treasure chest the Ganon's Tower big key is located in. 1 through 22. My good friend Super Sketch, where do you think it's going to be at?
1. 1 for Chris, but like 13 for Tairr because he forgets a chest or something. Somehow.
I'm going to go ahead and guess 8. I like the firebar room as a check. Christos making a lot quicker work of Trinex than Tairr did. This is about as perfect of a Trinex as you could possibly get.
Yeah, that's what you expect to happen when you fight him with the gold sword, especially.
And Tairr's going to go ahead and go full right side. So if Christos does a different route, this could make the difference here.
Yeah, it could. Chris might do something unusual if he feels he's in a bad situation in this race. But this is the more common route, I think, for most players these days, is if you get a key on the right side to just commit to it.
So Tairr's going to check here. 1, 2. There's the big key, right side check. So the right side is going to be the preferred option. And which chest number was that?
I have no idea. He's going to get this small key and then leave. That way he doesn't have to worry about not having enough keys to finish the upstairs segment, because you need 2 total. But there's 1 key located from an enemy, not from a chest, so it's guaranteed.
Yep, so that was key number 5. So congratulations if you got key number 5. We have nothing to give you but our love and affection. So.
Yeah, as if that's worth anything.
Nope, I give my love out pretty freely, so it's not worth a whole lot.
All right, so Chris still going to be a little bit behind, but at least he's doing the same route, so he won't be losing more time in this dungeon. Doing another fancy cane dash. Exactly.
That one working out. There's still certainly hope for Christos at this point in time, but at this point it does come down to execution. Normally I would give Christos the advantage here, but as you pointed out a few different times, him running on that emulator, his timing's just a wee bit off, so I don't know if I can give him the clear advantage here normally.
Yeah. Yeah, and even with the execution advantage, the time difference, I mean, the time that you can make up by executing a room better here or there, isn't even usually a few seconds per room, unless one player actually makes big mistakes. And either player can make the same big mistakes. You'd expect Chris to make up a little bit of time on average, but yeah, it's hard to say for sure.
Yeah. Tairr, meanwhile, going through the first part of the gauntlet up to Land Molus now. Just going to use his butter sword to get through it. Yeah, and if you're at this point in the race for both of these runners, you're at 154. I think both of these runners think they're behind, but they haven't seen a dot done yet. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, those squirrels might come back to haunt Chris, but I mean that's not the only reason at this point in time. There's been some. Chris did check a few more overworld locations, for example, the Peg Cave, there in the Dark World, and I think Peg Cave alone makes up the time.
Yeah, when you have to check that by itself, it does take a long time to get to it. That magic, you don't have to pick up the magic pot between the first and the second torch room here. This is where Tairr will get his last key. If he doesn't pick one up in the chest, you should kill one of these Helmosaurs. Well, he'll kill both of them.
Yep. And a great one cycle there by Christos, making up time where he can. Just don't think it'll be enough, but it's going to be close. Chris also did the hammer, or lost some time with the hammer jump as well. That was unfortunate.
Yeah. Yeah, that was really close on that hammer jump. He actually clipped into the rail, but still didn't get the jump, which means his position relative to the bomb was correct, but he was 1 pixel too low. The bomb and Link's position were both 1 pixel too low. That's what we can interpret usually from that.
Tairr making quick work of Trolldorm, so we only have Ganon, or Agahnim and Ganon. We'll see how trolly we can get.
We can get quite trolly. Chris is not checking these chests for the potential for silver arrows.
Nope, he doesn't see a dot done yet. He's thinking he's probably in pretty good shape, or at least needs to be moving as quickly as he possibly can. Might as well go it. And Tairr makes quick work. So Tairr going to start his Ganon fight while ChristosOwen is just about to start Agahnim. It is going to be a silverless fight, but they have Butter Sword, so it's going to move pretty quick.
Yeah, the Butter Sword is going to help in the first 2 phases. It just makes a 1-in-1 cycle a lot easier. And that's just the term we use for a 1 cycle of both of the first 2 plus 1. 4th phase is pretty much exactly the same with Ghost Sword or Tempered. But that's where the big time. Well, they're both going to be in the fight at the same time. Very significant.
It's pretty significant. It's going to take a pretty trolly Ganon to knock Tairr off in order for Christos to have a chance at this point in time, unfortunately. Both very solid runners getting right in there, but unfortunately just 1 or 2 decisions is all the difference that it took.
The arrows were in Ganon's tower. I imagine when Chris sees that, he's going to be wondering if it was one of those last couple chests that he decided not to check. Tairr to get the torch glitch 3rd phase, or the 4th phase rather, a lot easier. With the torch glitch, it's possible to get 3 hits on Ganon every time you light the torch. You need to get 12 total, but that does require some pretty precise timing on when you choose to light the torch. Looks like he's got it down though. The thing about triples in the 4th phase again in here is you can't really get them by a flute. If you don't know how to do it, you're probably not going to get any. So if you get even 1 set of triples, that shows at least a level of confidence in the timing in the fight. spins, but yeah, it's not going to matter.
And there we have it. Tairr getting it just under his 2-hour mark.
Yeah,
He's
just
entering
barely.
the door.
I think it's going to be under.
Oh no, actually,
just over.
The official SRL time for Tairr is 2 hours and 3 seconds. GG Tairr, moving on to 5-0 in this Swiss format.
Yeah, already advancing for sure before this race, but that's going to improve his seeding in the next round.
Meanwhile, Christos is going to be finishing up his fight. We'll see if we can get these two in here.
Yeah, he's going to be less than a minute behind.
Yeah, according to here, we have an official SRL time for ChristosOwen at 2 hours and 50 seconds, so a total of 47 seconds difference.
Yep, I'm going to go and drag Tairr in here. What's up, Tairr? Congratulations on your win.
Hi.
Is your heart pounding yet?
A bit. Actually, didn't expect to win, since I did some dumb gambles.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you both ended up having to nearly full clear that seed in the end.
Let's see if we have... Are we going to get a Christos here as well?
So, Tairr, going into this tournament, did you expect that you'd be 5-0 after 5 rounds of the Swiss stage?
No. I kinda expected that I need to fight for a spot for the next phase.
Yeah, well, you've taken out one of the major players here. Does that make you feel more confident going forward?
Yep.
We did have chat wondering if you, before the match, bribed the Dead Rocks up on Death Mountain simply because Christos got hit twice on his way up to Turtle Rock and blocked from the Dead Rocks in 2 separate occasions, which is about a 20-second difference. You won by 40-some-odd seconds, so there are legitimate accusations right now of you bribing the enemies. What do you say to those allegations?
It's true, I paid them.
Man, I need to find out your contact so I can bribe those guys in my next race. Yeah, that was a pretty cool. Well, I mean, how did you feel about that seed? You know, having to do so much content in the end.
Kinda. I don't know. I didn't like the seed.
So you like seeds where you get all the go mode items fast and just have to dungeon rush?
Kinda. A bit trolly it can be, but not that it takes 2 hours to finish the seed.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you there. I think these seeds are just kind of exhausting when they take this long.
Hello.
And we have ChristosOwen. GG, my friend.
Yo, thanks. Good game, Tairr. Congrats on the win.
So, Tairr has already admitted to bribing those Dead Rocks on your way up to T-Rock. So, just so you know.
Thanks. It was an interesting seed. My execution was all over the place. I played about as well as I expected to. Unfortunately, dealing with an emulator, and I'm not used to input lag, so it wasn't a very clean run. But I'm not too unhappy with the decisions I made. So that is my info I lost really. It's bad execution today.
Thus is the nature of Randomizer.
Indeed.
Well, what does that put you now? 3-2?
Yes, yeah. So I have to win the final match.
Well, worst case scenario, you'll at least be in the wild card race.
Oh, that's true. That could be fun, actually.
That could be fun. Yeah.
You might
My
just do
excuse
that
can
for the
be
heck
if
of
I
it.
lose in the next one, I can just pretend that I meant to lose so that I can participate in the wild card.
Right.
So just to kind of outline how things, you guys were just walking on each other's steps. It was back and forth within a minute of each other, kind of throughout most of the race. The real route divergence happened at the very end, where Christos, you ended up doing the pod check and ended up pulling the big key in the first chest, so had to back out. Whereas Tairr, you went to Turtle Rock first and got that bow. And other than that, you guys made almost all the same calls and ended up overlapping each other every step of the way.
Oh, wow. Be a good one to watch back then. Yeah, it is. Like, I was kind of... I was happy when I got Bolog instantly at pod, so I didn't waste more time in there. But then I was hoping, I would find Fire Rod in Turtle Rock, not Bow. So I was thinking Bow could be in GT. There was a fair shot that was going to be the case, so I just wanted to clear out the first section of pod, knowing the back half was bow-locked, and then I could have just done Turtle Rock with full knowledge Fire Rod had to be in there. That was the logic I made.
Yeah. Yeah, bow and game is a fun thing to have happen. At least for the spectators.
Yeah. But it's fun.
There's a lot of other individual things, Pedestal check, for example, that played a little bit behind, but you guys were just overlapping each other so frequently that it was a vastly entertaining seed to watch. Either way, I mean, you guys were just right there neck and neck. One person would make a play, the other person would follow it up. Early seed kind of opened up a lot for you guys, except for missing the gloves and having to do that Aga kill.
Yeah, it's always annoying. I was hoping to find either hammer or mitt somewhere, but obviously it didn't in the end. So ended up being an extremely thorough playthrough.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like there's supposed to be a Super Metroid race starting at 6. I don't know if they moved that to another channel or if we have to
wrap up.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Well, I'll hop off here anyways. Good game again, sir.
Okay.
And I'll catch you guys next time.
Yeah, see you.
See ya.
Absolutely. Just going to wrap up here. We do have a match on Speed Gaming 3 that has already started. Zero versus Genja. Immediately after at 8 o'clock Eastern, we have a 4-way match. Big Dunka versus Walking Eye, and then Oh Hey It's David versus Lava and Firestorm. Lots of randomizers still going on tonight. Kind of all over the place. So if you're a fan of Randomizer, keep on tuning in at Speed Gaming 3 tonight so far. Even some other Speed Gaming channels will be around. It's going to be quite a bit.
Yeah, I misread the schedule. Super Metroid is on Speed Gaming 2. So if you're interested in that, you can check that out too. Anyway, yeah, I guess that's going to wrap it up for us. Thanks for joining me for this commentary. Glad I got a chance to do another one. Hope everybody else watching enjoyed it. My name has been Super Scudge. Congratulations again, Tairr. And I will see you guys next time.
Yep, and I'm Vitasia. Thank you guys so much, and congratulations one more time, Tairr. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a great rest of your night.